Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush amdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen, ishpata, pakhair ragle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to World This Morning on yet another beautiful, beautiful day where we are all ready to learn and be informed, be educated, and well, just together have a very light morning. I am Shiza Hashmi, and I'm hoping all of you are going to have a great day today, inshallah. Before I do begin with my regular show, I want to mention something over here. Today happens to be the 8th of Muharram, and a lot of gatherings are going to be held, along with a lot of processions as well. I request all of you, whoever is watching me right now, to please be patient and tolerant towards each other, while also following the SOPs if you do go into public gatherings. Definitely, being Muslims, we want to commemorate and observe these days collectively, but please, I request for you all to pay a huge amount of respect towards each other. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, today is also an important day because just yesterday, the single national curriculum has been launched and it is now compulsory for every school from the classes of 1 to 5, 1 to the 5th grade to actually adapt and apply this curriculum into their, of course, schedule as well. And all the students study the same because I feel like the incumbent government and especially our Premier Imran Khan Saab is really, really adamant of the fact that the educational disparity goes away, that each and every single student or child of Pakistan has actually the right kind of the right quality of education that another person does, and there is no class difference among, at least in education, there isn't any class difference. So that is what the purpose of the single national curriculum is. Soon, I have heard this, of course, with the people who are a part of this curriculum, that within 6 to 8 months, inshallah, they are going to even launch the next phase of this curriculum, which is from the 5th grade onwards as well. Fingers crossed, and I hope and pray, inshallah, it is for the betterment of the country. But what are we talking about in the first segment today? Let me tell you. It is, well, the pandemic that we are going through. It's been more than 2 years now, I gather about 2 years now. And while, of course, it is definitely a physical form of a disease, but it has also taken a huge mental toll on each and every single person, regardless of the fact if they have contracted COVID-19 or not. I feel like it is I've said this before, it's a collective global depression or the greatest depression now that we're all going through because again, it's not just physical, it has definitely taken a mental toll too. But let's learn about how these diseases do come into being because now COVID-19 is just one of the things that now we're becoming aware of. Over the period of time in the history, there have been so many diseases that humans have somehow contracted and they have been contagious as well. People, hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives. But how do they even come into the system? How should we avoid them if we do contract them? How should we go about that? I have actually a lot of questions, and I think the only person who is eligible to answer these questions is an epidemiologist. Pardon my pronunciation. I'm going to learn how to say the word today. Ladies and gentlemen, I happen to have the best of the epidemiologists over here in the Twin Cities. He's none other than Dr. Farooq Tahir. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you, Shiza.
First of all, please let me know how do we pronounce the word, and then what does it entail? When you say you're an epidemiologist, what is your job?
Thank you. You pronounce it pretty well.
Thank you.
It is same, the epidemiologist,
Okay.
and I guess pre-COVID, most of the people did not know what the exact job description or responsibilities of epidemiologists are, but this COVID, it has been kind of a learning experience for most of us, and mostly the epidemiologists, they deal with the different disease dynamics of the study. They do not treat individuals, they treat populations. They prevent diseases, they investigate different factors that are responsible for spread of disease, and they underpin or investigate what are the possible interventions that we can do in a set of population or at global or regional level that can effectively curtail any disease.
Yes, go on. Okay, so I think I'm going to just throw you questions because I actually do have a lot of them.
Sure.
So to begin with, One Health is a newer concept relatively.
Yes.
And you were working on that, and I feel like it is also a field of study, a relatively newer one. Let's learn about it. What does that entail, and what does that have to do with epidemiology?
Again, As you mentioned, One Health is a newer concept. At least in the Pakistan, we can say it is a relatively new concept.
Yeah.
We had been working on One Health for last few years, but again, this COVID has actually exposed some of the very established health systems in entire world. Leave aside Pakistan, where we claim we are a developing countries, and we
Right.
have, of course, lots of things to improve upon our health system. So One Health basically means that human health, animal health, and environmental health is interlinked. You
Okay.
cannot focus on human health ignoring the animal health and the environmental health.
Really?
For example, one of the salient disease that all of us must have known is rabies.
Yeah.
It comes from dog bite. If you do not focus on the animal population, stray dog population, vaccination of the stray dogs, you cannot prevent the rabies. You can't
Okay.
put monies on pre and post exposure vaccination of the human beings. Dog bite cases will keep coming, and you'll have to put as much as resources you can, but you will not entirely eliminate the disease. So the idea about One Health is that you identify the diseases, you identify the risk factors from where it is coming in, and you try to mitigate those risk factors rather than just putting your focus on the patient or the human health only. So One Health effectively means working on the health at human, animal, and environment interface.
Okay, this is very interesting because let's be honest, this is the first time I'm listening about this, and of course now it makes sense. But it also makes me question, Dr. Farooq, this must be only about the existing diseases, right? Only then you can venture into it. If you, like you said about rabies, your take would be to treat the dogs better or make the environment better so that rabies doesn't even occur to people. So is it only about the discovered diseases?
No, it does not. Basically, again, when we talk about diseases that are coming from animals or environment to the human beings, we talk about the diseases which we know, and we also talk about the diseases which we do not know. Actually, what happens is
Okay.
that there are accidental spillovers of some of the pathogens from environment or animals to the human health sector.
Okay.
So if you are keeping a close vigilance to the environmental or animal health surveillance, you will know what are the potential diseases that could come in next decade or next few decades to the human health, and you can prevent those risk factors. For example,
Okay.
what is the most popular belief about the COVID spread? It started from Wuhan in China, where the primary reason was the animal market, where live animals were being sold for human consumption. So
Yeah.
this is the human animal interaction that we talk about. So if
Okay.
we know that animals carry certain pathogens which could be of risk to the human health, then we can mitigate, we can devise our strategies, or we can control this human animal interaction and prevent the diseases which we even do not know at that point in time.
Oh, that is brilliant. But Dr. Farooq, does Pakistan right now has the facilities or probably the labs to provide to researchers and scholars like yourself, where you can actually practice and make sure to tell us next time if a breakout is going to happen?
Basically, One Health is a concept, One Health is a strategy, One Health is a coordination mechanism. It does
Okay.
not need ultra sophisticated laboratories. It does not need biological safety level 3 or 4 laboratories. It is
Okay.
just that if a disease comes in, human health people inform animal health people, environmental health
Okay.
people, and vice versa. So it is basically responsible sharing of some of the information between the sectors. Of course, you need laboratories and the infrastructure to work on some of the diseases, but it is more about how we operate. It is responsible information sharing, nothing else. And Pakistan have had worked significantly on One Health. The Pakistan is signatory of international health regulation, and it has some of the areas that relates to the zoonotic diseases. Zoonotic diseases are the diseases which come from animals to the
Animals.
human health. So
Okay.
Pakistan has been working on this, and there are long list of milestones that we have achieved in the recent years, and I mean, it will be it will require a long time to go over that, but Pakistan has good infrastructure of One Health. National
Okay.
Institute of Health Pakistan has the One Health coordination hub or unit over there, which is led by the chief epidemiologist of Pakistan, and it has representation from different sectors that includes environmental health as well as animal health.
That is brilliant. And like you said that there are some milestones that is going to take long to discuss. I wouldn't mind that. Let's listen to, Pakistan's achievements. So while you do mention some of them, could you explain to me, I'm taking you back to last year where no one knows what COVID-19 is. It is happening to everyone, but the amount of confusion, one day the World Health Organization puts out a statement and the other day they take the statement back because, well, it is a confusing time, right?
Yes.
So even the leading scientists in this matter, let's talk about Dr. Fauci for that matter, they weren't sure about this. So when you talk about epidemiology, does it always have a chance of error or a doubt for that matter?
Well, epidemiology does not have a chance of error or doubt about that. But what happens is there are some of the diseases or pathogens we know exact details of.
Okay.
And we know what are their patterns, how they spread, what are the risk factors. And these are kind of established fact over the period of many years. But and considering that COVID is a new disease, we know the virus, but we specifically do not know how it is going to behave in certain environmental conditions, in certain populations. So it is not about the scientific error, it is about that as the information gets updated, the scientists keep updating or changing their opinions based on whatever information we have. I mean, at this point in time, there is a long debate going on whether the vaccinations are effective, whether we should get vaccinated.
That was my next question, actually.
So, continuing with that, whether the immunity wanes too soon and how long it will protect if a person is vaccinated, how long it will be protected from the COVID-19. So these are all questions that can only be answered over a period of time. We are getting vaccinated. Scientists are doing different kind of studies comparing the vaccinated group of people with the unvaccinated group of people. How many of them in the group 1 get severe disease, how many of them in the group 2 get severe disease, and all that. So it's more about how a disease progresses over the time, and it's not about that it's epidemiology, it's the virus itself. It keeps changing, so we keep changing our statement. This is the best thing that you can do according to the circumstances. You change your strategy.
Of course, and well, I'm not pointing fingers at that. I'm just trying to understand.
No,
it makes sense, of course, because it's a new version. Like you said, no one knew about the virus itself, COVID-19, until and unless it happened. But one more thing, because so WHO says that when they had to deal with the smallpox, that was easier as compared to dealing with the Delta variant right now, which is a huge statement if you think about it, because even smallpox was a pandemic. It wasn't even a small thing, right?
Yes.
So now in terms of availability of vaccination in Pakistan, I know a lot of people have the access to it, but still, collectively speaking, only 15% of the global population is vaccinated. Is that so? At this point in time, where some people believe in it, some even don't, do you think it is the safer option? Would you advocate for it or would you not?
Well, definitely there is no question of not advocating for it. It will be too much of technical discussion if we go into, there are viruses have certain kind of genome. Some are DNA viruses, some are RNA viruses, and even in RNA viruses, some are single stranded, some are double stranded, and that goes on. COVID virus is highly volatile or fragile virus. It keeps changing rapidly. So we need to keep updating ourselves, updating our vaccines, updating our strategy as the virus evolves. So generally speaking, we have no other safer option other than vaccines. It is true that we might see in a couple of years or in a 5-year period of time, one vaccine that is effective today might not work in 5 years of time. But this is how science evolves. We'll keep updating to the viruses. We had no idea like 3 months ago that we'll be facing Delta variants, and Delta variants Delta variant is spreading rapidly. So these are all the changes that we need to adapt to, and at this moment, anyone and everyone listening, vaccination is the only option of getting out of this pandemic situation.
Of course. Thank you so much for saying that. Now again, one thing. So I heard this, I read about it, but I need actually, some straight facts coming from the horse's mouth. So this is not, let's not make this a COVID-centric, but generally speaking, there's such a concept of cocktail vaccination where you mix different kind of vaccines to have a greater impact. Is it, can you explain the concept to me, and is it workable? Would you suggest that rather?
Look, scientists try different things.
Okay.
Cocktail vaccinations are usually advised and do work in situations where the pathogens are relatively stable.
Okay.
In terms of COVID vaccinations, scientists are going towards monovalent or single disease vaccination. So these are different concepts in science, and cocktail vaccinations do work. If you know the routine immunization program of a newborn baby, you will see some of the cocktail vaccination or combination vaccines over there. But in terms of COVID, single unit vaccines are more effective as compared to cocktail vaccines.
That is actually really interesting to learn, because I had heard otherwise. Thank you for correcting me. I know a lot of people belonging to some very educated segments of the society who are doing this process. So I think I'm going to educate them today as well. But now let's talk about, God forbid, if if an outbreak does happen again, in terms of the national emergency system, are we prepared for any such thing? Or if I were to ask you right now, can you predict a zoonotic disease or probably epidemic for the coming near future? Are you able to answer that?
Well, you can never predict a pandemic. You never know what happens next. But we have only one option, that is preparedness. Not about Pakistan, generally the world got caught napping. We were not prepared for COVID-19. But in terms of preparedness in Pakistan, if you say, government of Pakistan has invested a lot after the COVID in diagnostics. So laboratory capacity has increased many folds after the COVID, and our diagnostic or testing capacity, not only for COVID. I mean, this is not that if a laboratory is there, they can only test COVID. They can, of course, test with minor modifications, test any pathogen that exists. So we feel that we've got significant improvement in the laboratory capacity over the last year or so, and we are better prepared as compared to pre-COVID era in terms of our testing capacities, and in some instances response capacities as well. But that does not mean that we do not need to improve. Of course, there is a huge cushion for improvement, but we are better prepared now.
That is brilliant. So would you say that because of all of this, over the period of COVID, now that we are investing into diagnostics and laboratories and everything, do you think our health emergency system is now strengthened? Is it safe to say that? For the general public, let's put them in sight as well, for belonging to the rural segments.
Again, these are relative things. I mean, your preparedness will depend on what kind of challenge you are facing. What I'm saying is we are better prepared as compared to pre-COVID era. So not only government of Pakistan, there has been various international donors that have come together and help Pakistan improve their laboratory capacity strengthening. And I mean, I represent the Fleming Fund Country Grant, and we did work with 25 laboratories across Pakistan. That includes the 3 national level laboratories, including National Institute of Health, and 2 animal health sector laboratories, National Veterinary Laboratories and National Reference Laboratory for Poultry Disease. We did provide complete refurbishments and some of the very critical equipment and consumables for improving laboratory diagnostics. So similarly, other donors have chipped in. Government of Pakistan has mobilized huge amount of resources. So collectively, we feel that we are better prepared, but God forbid, if a stronger challenge comes in, who knows what the situation will be. But to the confidence of people of Pakistan, we are much, much better prepared now.
I think it's definitely great to hear that, especially in the morning. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take this good news forward as well. Pakistan is definitely better prepared than it was pre-COVID as well in terms of dealing with any pandemic, epidemic or similar diseases for that matter. God forbid we have to face it again. Towards the end, Dr. Farooq, I want you to, if there's a message you want to give out to the general public out there, or if you have a closing note for me, please look into the camera, go ahead and share with us.
Thank you. To everyone listening, I'll just say that listen to the experts, Do not make your opinions on Google search. Government of Pakistan has done one great thing, that they have tried to bring on forefront the technical people. Islamabad is an example. One young, vibrant district health officer is leading the COVID initiative or response mechanisms for Islamabad, and we have seen the best of surveillance system, COVID detection, reporting, and response in Islamabad. So, the experts who have spent their lives in some area, they know better than you. So listen to them, trust them. These are testing times, but we'll get through them and get yourself vaccinated. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think I stand by everything that you said. That is so right. And Dr. Farooq, you also happen to be one of the very learned people that government now is bringing forward as well. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks to your team as well. I think the only message that I'm going to take forward from Dr. Farooq and head out to a small break is, don't be your own doctor. Please don't Google everything, because you know what? I'm one of those people, and I think everyone can relate to this. The moment you get a shooting headache, or the moment you have a pain in your, well, even wrist for that matter, and you Google and you end up thinking, I only have 2 days to live. This is what Google is telling me. Oh my God. So do not be your own doctor. I think it's always better, or rather best, to go seek a specialist. They can, guide you better. We are right now going out to a short break. When we come back, I'm going to be in conversation with some of the very brilliant youth of Pakistan. And I actually want to hear their side or perspective of how they have some ideas of improving the country in terms of prosperity and greatness. Stay tuned to find out. Good morning.
Hussein, light of my eyes, love of my heart, you're the light of my eyes. Hussein, light of my eyes, love of my heart, you're the light of my eyes. Hussein, light of my eyes.
Ay Karbala, 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 ay Karbala.
حسين مني وأنا من الحسين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shiza Hashmi. And if you were watching the first segment, I think it was really informative for all of us, because together we learned about epidemiology and how actually there are people working in Pakistan by the facilities provided by the government who are now trying to make sure that no other outbreak or any disease comes to the country as well. Thank God for that. But now moving on, it's not just it's not just these scientists that are doing or bringing a great name to Pakistan. The youth, which now has a huge potential to actually drive the country in whatever direction they want, I think they're pretty responsible. And I'm saying that on the basis of the amount of people I have met on the show. They all come from different sectors or different walks of life, but the quality of work that they're bringing or the quality of name that they're bringing to the country, it is just brilliant. Which just reminds me, this was yesterday, one of the girls contacted me and well, she came here in the capacity of a tourist, but now she's an entrepreneur. You know how? She actually developed her own travel agency because she now realized that the tourism potential of Pakistan is immensely huge. And not only locals, but a lot of foreigners, hundreds of thousands of them are coming into Pakistan every year. So, well, the youth is making sure to use that opportunity too. And now she has a travel agency and she's helping a lot of people travel Pakistan, see the beauty of it, see the beauty of the culture of it. I actually happen to have a small informative report about the beauty of Pakistan and how tourism is taking us forward. Let's take a look at it, and when we come back, I'll be in conversation with some amazing youth and listen to their ideas about improving Pakistan.
Pakistan, the land of mesmerizing landscapes and wondrous mountains, is witnessing a thriving tourism industry. Prime Minister Imran Khan said that promotion of tourism in the country is one of his government's top priorities to generate revenue and job opportunities. He said that Pakistan had the potential to become a center of tourism, especially for the Muslim world since the rise of Islamophobia in the West. According to Latifur Rahman, spokesperson for tourism Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the number of tourists has overwhelmingly increased since May this year, and more than 65 billion rupees of business activities were generated by tourists in the province from May to July 2021. Elsewhere, Gilgit-Baltistan Minister of Tourism Raja Nasir Ali Khan revealed that up to 700,000 local and foreign tourists visited Gilgit-Baltistan during this year's summer season. This tourist influx has helped the sector revive after last year's travel restrictions. Multiple initiatives are being taken to harness the full potential of tourism in Pakistan. Pakistan International Airlines has been carrying 4 to 5 flights from various cities to Gilgit-Baltistan every week to improve air access to the region. Negotiations are underway with Nepal and Gulf countries to start one international flight to the area as an experiment. Moreover, the Civil Aviation Authority is also set to start helicopter flights for Skardu and Gilgit to promote tourism.
Well, this is just brilliant. And I actually want to give a shout out to Amna over here, our internee, who's doing a brilliant job in making these reports and then, well, of course, helping our producer Hasnan as well. So thank you guys, you are brilliant. Right now, I'm going to be introducing the youth activists I was talking about. And let's get to the challenges that we think, or let's get to the challenges they think that still exist in the country and what ideas they have to solve those challenges. First of all, I happen to have someone who is also a writer along with being a youth activist. He's none other than Mr. Asim Nawaz Abbasi. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on your show.
It's my pleasure, absolutely. Next to Asim, we have someone who, again, happens to be, of course, a youth and a social activist, also a writer. He's none other than Syed Shahzeb Haider. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Asim, I think I'm going to start the conversation with you. How long, first of all, have you been a youth activist for? I want you both to actually tell me that one cause that drove you to be an activist. You know, because you do have these thoughts in your mind, I want to do something for the country, but then one incident happens and then you're like, I really have to be the voice. Yeah. What was it for you?
Yep. The topic you have chosen today for today's program is very much important in the context of Pakistan, because in a country like Pakistan, which is having young population, which is one of the youngest countries of the world, having 64% of its population below the age of 30. It's very much important to discuss issues of youth and what role youth can make and what role youth is playing for the development of the country. As far as your question is concerned and how long I have been involved in these activities, it's been a long time. It's been, I think it's been 7 to 8 years I've been involved in these activities. And coming to this field, the idea and the importance that I came to this field was to work for the youth of Pakistan, as I said earlier, that because we are living in a youth purged country, yes. And the current youth purge can be turned into a greatest dividend if we are able to capitalize on it. There are always two sides of the picture, the shady one and the positive side. Yeah. Okay. And unfortunately, the employment opportunity, lack of employment opportunities, lack of social engagements, and lack of social justices, the unequal education system and health systems. These are the things that are actually turning this dividend into a ticking bomb. So we need to so we need to work on it. As you said earlier in the previous segment, I was listening that the government has actually launched a single national curriculum, which is a great initiative. So such kind of activities or such kind of initiatives needs to be done at a rapid speed, because we are already lagging behind from the world, and so this is the right time to invest on youth and to build their capabilities, to invest on their capacity building, to invest on education sector. The education sector, when you talk about education sector, there is a big gap between, I personally think there is a big gap between education and the industry. There should be industry academia linkage, because when a student comes out of the university or college after his or her graduation, he or she sees a completely new world.
Yes.
Because what he has learned during the period of his education in the universities it's a different, because it is bookish knowledge, and in the industry, when he or she comes into the industry, he sees a completely new world. So there should be an industry academia linkage.
I agree with you 100%.
What is demanded in the market, he should be learning what is actually demanded in the market.
Absolutely.
So these are the things that needs to be done.
Asim, you actually did raise quite some valid points, and we are going to take on to them one by one. And I think I 100% stand by you where you said that we need to, get our hands on to some practical knowledge so that we can directly land into the industry right after we've received our education. Because, well, I did get some amazing marks in my matriculation examination as well. But till date, I have never used those theorems that I learned. I tell you that. All 20 of them I learned. I've never used those theorems. Like, why did I even learn them? But moving on to you, Shahzeb,
Yes.
let us know what made you become a social activist, and then adding on to the challenges that we're discussing. What do you
Yeah.
think are some?
Yeah, to start with the challenges that the youth of Pakistan is facing right now, I personally think that the core issue of Pakistani youth is that we have never been told by our parents
Yeah.
that what you actually need to do with your life.
Okay. But we've
Because-
always been told kuch bada karo, right?
You're absolutely right. Kuch bada karo means ke something, if you want to do something, you have to have a degree with it. That's not the case, actually.
True.
Let me tell you one thing, that entrepreneurship in Pakistan is still not properly implemented by the government.
Okay.
We have to be, aware of the fact that entrepreneurship across the world is working out very well. But in Pakistan, if we see that our youth, when they are done with their studies, if for instance somebody is passed out by the university, now he is looking forward for a job.
Yeah.
Why is he looking forward for a job only? Why isn't he or she working himself or herself for a better business or a personal little venture with some companies?
Why do you think that?
Let me give you an example what I did in my past 2 years.
Okay.
I have made my office of marketing and real estate. So
Mashallah.
what I did is that I associated my office to this institution of training and different programs. I associated my office with them, and then I told them that you have all the leverage of telling me that you have the complete knowledge of real estate and marketing, and then you can refer your trained youth towards me, okay, and I'll give them the jobs and the opportunities.
Okay.
First of all, the thing that my fellow mate has said, I respect his opinion very much. It is really very important to create a linkage between the industries with the education system. But the second thing is the entrepreneurship. If you're not going for the entrepreneurship, this much youth of any country, I think we're in total 13 crores and something in numbers. So
I
this
can't
much
tell the
youth
exact figure,
cannot
but
be
yes.
adjusted in the industry as a jobian
You know,
only.
You're
adding
right. And
adding to Shahzeb's point,
Ji.
there was a report in 2020 last year of UNDP's, and it says that 39% of Pakistani youth is illiterate, and only 6% of youth is having 12 years of education or more than that.
Exactly.
So
my
there's
God.
another alarming fact that every year, and I'm not saying this, actually there are some credible surveys that are saying this, that there are around 4 million youth that enter the job market every year in Pakistan.
Okay.
So although government has started a very good program called Kamyab Jawan program, but it is not able to absorb 2 million or
It's
4
not
million youth
sufficient enough.
every
It's not
year.
possible. How can you do it overnight as well?
Yes, if I can add
Yes.
another point into it, it's not really sufficient for the youth of Pakistan. The number of youth that we have really in the country, it's not sufficient enough for the number of people. And then once again, if I must tell you
Yeah.
that in 2016 survey, I was reading the United Nations survey of literacy of Pakistan. They told us that you are just claiming 42% of the literacy rate. It's not the case.
Gentlemen, that was going to be my next question because what is literacy? If you can write your name,
Yeah.
if you can make a sign,
As per UN's
you are
definition,
literate.
Yes.
it's same.
Oh
Yes,
my God,
indeed.
it bothers me. It really baffles me because you know what? Someone selling sabzi at a small corner in my village knows how to write his name in Urdu. But that, you know, that does not make you educated or informed because I feel like this is our struggle. As long as your mind is not enlightened or informed or educated, I do not think we can get rid of the menaces like unemployment, like domestic violence, like
Absolutely.
child abuse, like sexual abuse, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about literacy. How can you even say 46% is literate?
Actually, this single national curriculum, I think it's going to help a lot.
Is it though?
Yeah, because previously we had one problem. The international curriculum that we had in our country was working very well.
Okay.
But as it was not in the access of the poor people, and the majority of the country, unfortunately, is poor.
Goes to
And
public schools.
yeah, they goes to
And
the
you know,
public school. And one more thing to this point is that they were completely unable to understand what the international standard of studies are.
Okay.
So that now we are going to what now Imran Khan has done is unimaginable, and that is tremendous
Yes.
for the youth of the country, because of the fact that now the common peoples and the common people and their children, they are going to know that what is the studies syllabus is actually in the world.
Absolutely. You
You
wanted
know,
to add something?
nowadays everyone is talking about sustainable development goals. The goal that is actually talking about education, it says it doesn't talk only about education. It actually talks about quality education.
All right.
And Article 25A of Pakistani Constitution also talks about the same,
Basic right of
the quality of
education to
education. So the single national curriculum is a good initiative, but next step should be to improve the quality of education in public sectors actually.
Okay.
Because when we see the public sector education, especially primary up to primary to middle and then to the greater levels, we don't see any quality education. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So
No, and I do agree with you, definitely. Again, you know what? A lot of you people who do regularly watch my show must know I have a lot of examples and stories from my village because, well, I do spend some time there, and I like to relate and I like to, you know, just observe the lives of people. So let me tell you why a single national curriculum is important. So imagine I was as young as probably, I don't know, 7 years old, and I'm in my village and I'm in conversation with some students over there who study in a school in the village, right?
Okay.
And that person, and they are from the 6th grade, and they come to me with their English book. If you know, can you help me? And I'm 7 years old, so I'm helping a 6th grader
Okay.
see what A is.
Yeah.
A is for aeroplane, and that is in the 6th
That is
grade.
the case.
So, which is why I think it is absolutely important, and it is a great idea to make sure that all the students are at par in terms of receiving the
Yes,
quality
yeah.
education.
And
Right?
we have to understand in
Or-
our country by the government and by the public that we are equally eligible for all the study process.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
and the thing that I was telling you before is that we haven't been told by our parents that what you need to do with your life.
Right.
in terms of earning money. Okay, at the end of the day, it's not really just about the awareness or the education. It's about how you, what do you do with your life? I mean, in terms of finance. So if we are doing entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
I personally prefer people over a job in an entrepreneur.
I do too,
Because
but
of
I
the
wish I
because
knew.
of the because of the fact that they are doing a lot well. There's an example of recent past. We have seen on the social media. The video was viral on the social media that there's this guy who's been passed out from lumps
Okay.
long before.
Okay.
Now he's an elderly guy, but still we can take an example of him. He was jobless for a couple of years. He asked for the help from everyone and anyone from the close circle and the people he know, but nobody could do something for him. So what he did is like he made a little bit of food stuff to sell at
Oh,
his
was
home.
that a true story? The stand that he made to sell?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
It
God.
was a true story.
Okay.
He was from Lums, mind it. I mean, a Lums guy is jobless in Pakistan.
And we
Now-
aspire to go to Lums, right?
Yeah, people are looking forward towards to study in Lums.
Of course.
But still, and this guy, he was telling me, I was there in person to see him in Blue area. I was there. I went to him and I saw him. I asked him a few questions to get myself aware of what is going on. So he told me that, okay, Shazib, what happened to me is that I was jobless for a couple of years. I was so helpless. I had no money on me. I was asking for the help from everyone that I know, but nobody could. And then eventually, what I did is that I made some food stuff at my place. I started selling it. The first day was very tough. The second day, the third day, gradually I increased my income. And now he is able to run his own restaurant in Beria town. And now
Brilliant.
he's making a lot of money. You cannot imagine, one Jobian can just not imagine the money he's making right now.
You know what? Even our religion tells us that in business, the income is 7-folds more than it is in a job. So I
You're
think we can
absolutely
learn
right.
something from that. So, gentlemen, so far we have established that, of course, one of the major issues or the challenges that the youth of Pakistan is still facing,
Yeah.
even after a lot of hard work, is unemployment. Now, Asim, you know, we take pride, and being on the state channel, I've often spoken about it, we take pride in the incubation centers that the government has launched, and they want to talk about how they are helping everyone. But research says that within 2 to 5 years, 90% of the startups fail and do not go on. What do you, so you did mention with your own self that jobs are not enough because the bulge is so huge. So how can we improve the entrepreneurship culture?
You know, apart from all the negative things that we have discussed so far, there are few things, positive things about Pakistan.
Even these are positive, but we have
there's startup culture, and startup culture is thriving in Pakistan.
Okay.
I'm giving you an example. In 2017, there were only 9 startups that got venture capital from Pakistan.
Oh.
And as compared to Nigeria, it got 34, and India, there were more than 700 startups who got venture capital. But with the passage of time, in 2019, Pakistani startups were raised to 32, and in the last year, 2020, they were 42. So see the rapid increase in the startup culture. So there are some positive things that are being done on the Pakistani side. So another major sector that we can improve, and we have potential. We have potential in every sector, but there are few sectors that we can improve with the more rapid speed. One of them is IT sector. We have seen that the exports, Pakistan's IT exports have improved a lot in last couple of years. So Pakistan's freelance market is a huge potential. Pakistan's freelance market stands among top 3 countries in the world. So government should invest and should make them able to work on those technologies that are demanded in the outer world. So government should support youngsters, start incubation centers.
There's another thing into
yes,
this
if
point.
you can please quickly, because we're really
surely,
short on time.
Surely, just a minute.
No problem.
It is the matter of learning the process of being an entrepreneur.
That's true.
This is what we are lacking.
And we're not taught that
You
in
know
schools.
what? You know what? If I'm completely now starting my own venture, I have to learn it before from
That's true.
somewhere.
That's true.
This is the most important point to be an entrepreneur. If not, then I'll not be able. Then my startup will be failing.
Absolutely, and I think this is where the training and the practical knowledge comes in that we begin the conversation with.
Exactly.
But thank you so much, Asim and Shazay, both of you, for being here with your brilliant ideas and brilliant minds. And I feel like this is the type of I want to say these are the thoughts that we need to take forward, or this is the type of thinking and the mindset that we all need to have in case we want Pakistan to improve. We are all here. I mean, we love Pakistan and we love discussing things that can change things, make things better for the country. And today was a similar day. If you did watch the show, you would know that we discussed, of course, the single national curriculum along with some of the challenges posed to the youth, along with how to control an epidemic or a pandemic. If you still have any questions about all of these topics, you can write to me on my social media pages, all with the name of World This Morning on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And the repeat of this one you will be able to catch tonight by 5 past midnight. Till the next time, take care. Good morning.